So I think the opportunity is that there is funding that is actually happening on the continent, some level of funding that is. The reality is that it's extremely limited and that it's really, really difficult to come across, right? When you're thinking about fundraising in a market like Africa, you're thinking about, it's not 3 months like we see or 6 months like we see in Silicon Valley. You're talking about fundraising for well over a year just to close one round, speaking to well over 50 to 100 investors and receiving multiple no's. And then the last thing is that even after you get the amount in and you are able to close your round, it comes with exceedingly high expectations. And some expectations do not necessarily meet reality. And that is the truth about fundraising. Well, first things first, no dollar is bad, right? So a dollar is a dollar, and so long as it's coming in your direction, it's a good thing. What comes up is that remember that a startup is a long-term play, right? And so you have to ensure that the amount of the capital that you're bringing in is actually patient capital. You don't want an investor that is looking for a return in the next few months or in the next year or so, right? So you have to ensure that you're aligned with the investor on that front. The other thing is that to realize that when you're bringing in capital or an investor, you're getting into a relationship with them. And so if it's a toxic relationship, then you're definitely going to have challenges in the long run, and the journey is going to be extremely unsatisfactory. So when you're thinking about where you get your funding from, ensure that it's aligned with the long-term goals that you basically have as a company. Whether if a company has short-term goals, then let it be debt. If it's long-term goals, equity is the best way to go. And then who are you taking that money from? Do they share the same values, ethos that you basically have as a founder? And are you able to build a lasting relationship over time? Well, one would be, this is not Silicon Valley. Okay, you're not going to get funding because you have an idea, right? The fundraising journey for a startup founder in Africa is completely different from a startup founder in Silicon Valley or in other parts of the world. So the way that I think about it is that first ask yourself, does your company actually need funding, or can you actually build a product that the market is willing to pay for and it can be self-sustainable? If you come to the conclusion that your product actually needs external funding, realize that that comes with great expectations, right? And so the other thing that you need to realize is that you're not going to put out a pitch deck and the next thing you're going to have investors lining up to give you money. Fundraising in Africa is a long-term game. It's all about relationship building. It's all about ensuring that you have the right networks. The right people are willing to make introductions. Other founders are willing to make introductions to existing investors that they basically have. And so the other thing for you to be able to run a successful round is to understand the importance of storytelling. A story should have three things basically, which is they're all speaking to why. Why is this a big problem? Why is this the right market? And most importantly, especially early on, why are you the right founder to basically solve for this problem? If you pair that with validation that you've gotten from the market, having built an MVP, put out the product to market, and having initial customers basically paying, then you have a higher likelihood of actually fundraising successfully. But then again, still, it will not be easy, and it will probably take you longer than you thought it would in the first place.